All right, welcome back to the LOOPcast. We are live. Today I'm joined by star co-hosts. One of them just brightly shining last night, Joshua Mercer, killed some debate commentary. And I got to enjoy being on the other side of the equation. I was in the chat with you guys. Erica, you were in the chat
as
well.
Yeah, it was great.
Super fun. I think we had a couple thousand people live throughout the entire thing. I think up to like 6 or 7 throughout the whole thing. I mean, it was crazy how many people joined.
I thought we'd get like 300-400, and it was like 3,000-4,000 when you count X and YouTube, both channels, because
it's crazy.
You know, the funniest thing, I get home, all 6 of my kids stayed up to watch it. I come home and I'm like a conquering hero, whatever. They're like, ah!
Yeah,
I thought it was so cool. There's Dad on TV with Biden and Trump. It's like as if I was in Atlanta, but it was fun. It was good.
That is so funny. So yeah, I first want to extend a warm welcome to maybe some people joining the live show for the first time. What's up to Jake? What's up to Aiden? Bonnie? I don't know if it's your first time, but we might have a few more live listeners today. I think I was joking putting together this show this morning. There's some shows that require a lot of research. You're trying to find a way to make boring things interesting. This episode was the easiest possible wake up. I was barely slept last night thinking about getting in front of this microphone to talk about what we just witnessed last night. A completely historic, unprecedented presidential debate for a few reasons. One, it was between a former president and a current president. Two, I've never seen a worse performance from a sitting president, anyone really in a presidential debate in my lifetime. Josh, you're a little older than me, but was there any televised debates that were worse than this? It's crazy.
No, I mean, look, the 1984 presidential debate was kind of interesting because that was a circumstance where Ronald Reagan had such a great record. Everyone loved the guy, but they were concerned whether or not he was too old to be president. Does that ring a bell, anybody? That's what Biden is. He's dealing with the same problems. But in the case of Reagan, he had a fantastic economy. He had 60% approval ratings, whereas Biden's at like 38 or 35 or whatever. So it's not exactly the same. But Walter Mondale, the Democratic candidate in 1984, had only one shot. He had to convince Americans, this guy's just too old. He can't do the job. And so he had to come after him in the debate. In the first debate, Reagan actually didn't do that well. He kind of flubbed or whatever. He's a great communicator. And all of a sudden, wow, Democrats see blood in the water, and they're excited. And the second debate, Reagan landed a knockout punch because the reporter asked, now, there's been a lot of concerns about age in your campaign. And Reagan said, I will not exploit, for political purposes, my opponent's youth and inexperience. And it was right there. I mean, dude,
move.
Phenomenal. There's been other times in debates, the vice presidential debate where Dan Quayle got roasted by Lloyd Benson. Everyone loved, the political junkies love that one, but it didn't matter. I mean, it's a vice presidential debate. Who cares, But at the end of the day, I have never seen a presidential candidate flub and flounder so badly in a presidential debate. And look, I call it like I see it. I was on Relevant Radio this morning, and they were asking me about this, and I said, listen, 2012 is a good example of this. In the first debate, Mitt Romney really landed massive punches, and Obama was not good at all. And that was the first time, like the poll numbers, they flipped. And I said, well, wait a minute now. There's actually a chance Romney could win this thing. But then at the second debate,
in our dreams,
Obama rallied, and he did much better than I wanted him to do. But if you look at this, these two men, they debate. It's just crazy. Because not only did they debate last night, right, which is way early, June or whatever, and, it's the first time it's been 2 presidents, and you can each compare each of their terms. But the real thing is amazing is, these same 2 people debated each other 4 years ago. And I'm going to say it. 4 years ago, Joe Biden did better than Donald Trump in the debates. That is gone. Yep. And it is, last time... last time, 4 years ago, Donald Trump was way too angry, shouting, yelling, screaming, and then Biden just stands back and laughs like, are you kidding me? This is crazy. And unfortunately, it won the election for him.
Yeah, if anyone was questioning, I remember we were at a debate night party. Erica, this might have even been before you were at Catholic Vote, which is crazy. But the 2020 election, and I just remember there was a certain amount of just... people were just so hopeful that Trump would win because it just seemed it had to happen, right? Because we're seeing the senile, at the time even kind of senile, horrible now, And I remember we all predicted like, oh, Trump's going to win. And Josh just sat on the couch. He's like, Trump is not going to win. Like Biden's going to win this election. Everyone's like, Josh,
The Oracle.
like, so lame. Like we were all there together. And sure enough, I mean, we sat and had a very disappointing election night. But if so before
He
we
has
get
the
into
mug. Look at the prop. He's got the Oracle of Petoskey mug. Josh, it is you. This
I
is
do
your
want
day.
to, at 5 minutes in, we run a tight ship here. I do want to get into a bit of a summary, and that's Erica. That's where you shine. So I just want to summarize, the start of this debate to the end of the debate for those who maybe weren't paying attention or just want a little more commentary here. What was the crux of what just happened on the debate stage?
Yeah. So if we want to set up the expectations going in a little bit, I was trying to be really careful not to set too low of a bar for Biden because he has in the past rallied, like State of the Union. He came out jacked. He really rallied. And so you don't want to go into it thinking, okay, it's just going to be a disaster. It was a disaster for him, as Josh was saying. So they come out and CNN starts the questions. Starting the debate, I was really apprehensive because CNN's approach of changing the rules at the last minute, saying, okay, we're going to have a 2-minute delay instead of a 7-second delay. We're going to, it was just,
that was just an internet rumor. CNN actually denied that 1 minute thing.
Excellent.
It was a very vague denial.
Well,
say,
TBF. To be fair,
whatever.
No, I want the
it's
fact
besides
checks.
the point. Keep going.
I want
Erica.
the fact checks. So CNN comes out, and I was actually surprised from the get-go. They were asking tough questions of both guys. They came right after Biden on immigration. And that was about around 9:10 p.m. Eastern time. So this is 10 minutes in. I think that was when the debate ended, though, because at that moment, I'm going to pull up Tom Pegasic's status. The debate was over.
Let's watch
this
the
moment.
clip.
Yeah,
this is where it ended,
here.
truly.
It ended at 9:10 p.m. It was a very short showing. And this kind of sums
total
it up.
ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we have to move into
Exactly. So
That's
if you
a kill
want a
shot.
summary, I know we run a tight ship. That's pretty much a summary. I don't really know what he said here. Biden went on to claim that border security, that the Border Customs and Border Patrol had endorsed him for president. Immediately, the Border Patrol Union tweets out, they're like, we have never and never will endorse Biden for president. It was brutal. We had the abortion thing.
They endorsed his bill, not him.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, they endorsed his bill. They said no, never. We had the abortion thing. Of course, that came up, and people were upset that Trump didn't come out for a total ban on abortion, which he is never going to do, people. But Biden came out. He angered by Trump highlighting infanticide, breaks from Dems on abortion. He says we are not for late-term abortion. Period. Well, he just angered the entire left wing because they are for late-term abortion. Trump turned right around. And this was brilliant. He goes, under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. And he said it, Democrats are the radicals, not Republicans. Trump just was able to land so many lines like that throughout the night. He went after Pelosi with J6. He said the word weaponization. He just hit all of the right notes, I felt like. So he had a great night. He stayed calm. He was articulate. I know, Josh, there's a couple of caveats there, but Biden just the entire night was that mumble, mumble, mumble. What is he saying? And
I think the biggest thing for Biden is talk about an unforced error. He gets a layup question from Dana Bash on abortion, and as he's going through the answer, Biden is fumbling, and then he brings up a woman that was killed by an illegal immigrant. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is a question in which your answer, Democrats are convinced, is a winning issue. They think abortion is a winning issue for them. And there's data.
There's an argument to be made. Yeah.
Look, but they certainly think he should be answering it proudly and strongly on abortion.
And he did
And then he fumbles and he starts talking about, well, basically, you might need abortion in case you get raped by an illegal immigrant. Like, what?
Or by your family, or by your brother or your sister.
Insane.
It was insane.
I mean, just unforced errors so Donald Trump won this debate. He had, on his own merits, he got a home run. He was pivoting, ask a dumb question about climate change. He's turning right to immigration, hitting on inflation, talking about how blacks and Hispanics are paying more. he was clicking on all cylinders, and he didn't lose his temper. He didn't, shout and scream. No question, if this Trump had shown up 4 years ago, he would have been reelected in 2020. You wouldn't have to worry about stealing any votes because he would have won solidly. But the fact of the matter is, it was great.
Underrated element of all of this is, Erica talked about this before. There were so many weird things going on that it felt like they were setting it up to be able to edit it somehow in Biden's favor. And one of the things that I think actually really helped Trump here was the microphones. And I think the lack of the microphones being on, I go back and watch old debates, he just could not help himself. Like, he always had to answer on everything. He was barking on everything. And what was nice about this one was, well, one, CNN actually asked tough questions. Joe Biden himself fell into a lot of traps. And then the third was, whenever, I think in the beginning, he was like, can I address that? And he's like, well, we're going to give you a minute. You can talk about whatever you'd like with that minute of time. And what he did with that was, anytime there was something brought up, he's like, actually, that climate change question, dumb question. Let me talk about what he just said. And he was able to go on offense on obvious drops, big time drops by Biden. And the biggest of them, I think, actually wasn't even that weird abortion question, which I think it was a huge drop by Biden. It was Afghanistan. Biden said multiple times, no soldiers died under my watch. They died under your watch. And he brought up Afghanistan specifically, like, why the biggest black eye of this administration, in my opinion, was the Afghanistan exit. Stunning. He even
in which soldiers died.
Sniffed that.
Which
he should have avoided saying that at all. Don't even say Afghanistan.
Oh my gosh. I would have never even brought up the word. And then you just give Trump that opportunity to tee off on you for that embarrassing exit. And then that also gave Trump a huge upper hand in a lot of the foreign policy discussions, because when he talked about Russia, when he talked about Ukraine, he didn't take the bait of like, oh, so are you Putin's buddy? Would you accept the terms? He's like, well, first off, I'm not the president right now. The sitting president is the reason we're in this to begin with. If I was the president, we would have never been in this. Look what happened to Afghanistan. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think we're all realizing now who is at the wheel of our country. It's a scary thought, but I think it's a real thought that we're now all reckoning with, because the left-wing media's turned on Biden. We've the whole time been saying there's obviously something wrong. You can no longer hide behind the cheap fakes thing. Huge gamble on the Biden team for putting in front of the bright lights right now in July. I mean, I think the argument would be, June. Well, hopefully he performs a little bit and then we can just deflect until November. But now we're even having the question, do we need to invoke the 25th Amendment at this point? Are we so concerned about who is running the show? And everyone is now collectively panicking. No one knows
it's
who's running the show.
It's not that man. It's not
Biden,
man.
Clearly.
Yeah.
All the pundits at the New York Times, all the guys squawking at MSNBC, they're all freaking out.
Yeah. Can we actually start into that? So there were kind of two directions that the reaction from the left was going last night. And the first direction happened at 9:20 p.m. So at 9:10, we start to have 9:20 p.m. So we're 20 minutes into the debate. And suddenly there's like breaking news that Biden has a cold, because he's very raspy. His voice is hoarse. He's coughing. He can't finish his sentences. And all of a sudden we get this breaking news. Biden has a cold. So there's this attempt to like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? How are we going to cover this? And then the other element of this kind of
expectations,
reaction was,
baby.
Managing. Talk about managing. Did you see Jill Biden post debate?
Oh my gosh.
As a woman I was so embarrassed for my sex, and just the way she was handling him. She's like leading her husband down the stairs.
Like he's an infant.
Like he's an infant, and then she's standing in front of him saying, "You did great, Joe. You were awesome. You hit all the talking points." Like
you passed kindergarten.
My 5-year-old, right? Exactly. I felt like it was me and Eleanor just having a conversation.
It was a kindergarten graduation ceremony.
Yeah, like her little ballet recital went well or something. And then she goes, and he lied to the audience. So she's just so animated, and he's standing there like a corpse.
She's doing damage control. She's freaking out. She's worried that she just lost her ticket to another 4 years in the White House.
Right. So that was one way of reaction. We had the damage control reaction with Jill and the cold. And then on the other hand, it starts right away with the CNN after show where there's Jill. Oh my gosh. I can't take that. For those of you who are listening audio, God bless you.
And we're going to go to Massachusetts. And we're going to go to Ohio. And we're going to go. It's like Howard Dean all over again.
And Joe's like, where am I? I mean,
yeah.
At the end,
I don't even know if people are addressing the craziest part of this screenshot is his own like post celebration. He wasn't the one doing the talking. I don't even know if he said a word. Jill
Right.
Biden got up and said, "Congrats on answering every question, Joe. We're all so proud of you." And then she turns around
Here's
and
a
gives
sticker.
the rah-rah.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
This
Here's
is
your lollipop.
yeah,
Ugh.
this was bad. And then
So
you bring
bad.
up an interesting point. Now people are bringing up, okay.
Mm.
I'm trying to find the right way to
Well,
organize this. We've
Can I
been
finish
lied
my
to.
frame? I'll finish
Yes,
my
please
frame.
do. Please do.
So we had two reactions from the left. We have damage control, and then we have the press turning on Biden. And it was instant. I think we have a few different things here. Josh brought up the New York Times. So I have this screenshot here from the New York Times. Can we pull that up? This was the opinion page, the
Bloodbath.
opinion columnists this morning, right? Read these headlines from, these are Biden rah-rah supporters who 5 minutes ago were like, behind closed doors, he is sharp as a tack. We get, President Biden is my friend. He must bow out of the race. We have Frank Bruni. Biden cannot go on like this. Patrick Healy. I'm hearing high anxiety from Democrats over Biden's debate performance. Nicholas Kristof. President Biden, it's time to drop out. I mean, first of all, how are these people shocked? How are they surprised? Have they just been taking like everything Karine Jean-Pierre has been saying for the last year is like, oh, it's cheap fakes. He's amazing.
Because they
He's
believe
running-
their own headlines.
They believe
their own headlines.
These
Because
people believe themselves.
Erica, when he was at the G8 and he's walking around like a Roomba, right? Like, trying, what?
Yeah.
What's going on? I don't understand. And everyone's like, oh, it was just, it was in the sun or something or whatever. They come up with some excuse because it's only a
Cheap
few
fakes.
seconds. But 90 minutes? How do you fake 90 minutes? Like,
Yeah.
we're all watching and you can't answer anything and you mumble and you're incoherent. I mean, you would have thought like during the commercial break, they would have tried to reset his computer or something or recharge him because it was not working, man.
So,
Yeah.
so I saw an interesting take on the whole, because what I'm seeing everywhere now is this was a setup. They knew he was going to not be able to handle himself and that they're going to replace him. And I think that's it's a tempting line of logic to take. And I think it's worth throwing out there just after the pure shock of this. But Ben, I just sent you the tweet on this. I think it's important for people to understand, like, this is, they're in so deep that all these people that were saying that Biden is mentally sharp behind closed doors, is the most impressive person I've ever been around. I just saw an old clip of Mayorkas saying that the hardest part is having to prepare because he's so sharp and detail oriented. Like, these are all extensions of Biden because clearly he's not running the show. If they were to replace Biden at this point, a couple things would have to happen. One, they'd have to convince him to step down, or they'd 25th Amendment him. I don't know. Then they would have to convince Kamala to step down, which is another hurdle to all
That's
this.
just
Maybe
not
she
happening.
doesn't, which I don't think she will. And then even if they do, they'd have to replace it with someone else. But right now, he's already on tickets all over the country. He's on state tickets, say Michigan, everywhere. Everyone has different rules when it comes to withdrawing. Some of them, the only way to do it is death. So you would have to do it at every state. So just on a practical
But
level,
he
it'd be
hasn't
very hard to
been
do.
he
But
hasn't
then-
been nominated yet, so it is a little bit. There's a little wiggle room. But here's the thing: I agree with your general assessment here and the tweet you just put up there. It's just not happening. This is one of those things where conservatives like to talk, oh, they're going to replace him. They're going to replace him. It's just not going to happen. I just don't see it. I mean, it's ride or die for Biden for them. Like that, look. Democrats talk about democracy all day long. You had all 50 states vote in their primaries, and the Democrats in all those states voted for Biden. He has 95% of the delegates. You really are going to deprive him of the nomination now? Like, it's not like this is a surprise. This has been going on. We know what's going on with Biden for the last year and a half. And you said we're sticking with him. And after one debate performance, you think it's not going so well, you're going to suddenly try to change it. It's just not going to happen. The guy's not going to bow out. You think Jill Biden's going to let her husband drop out? It's not happening. It's just not going to happen.
But it's
Total
all the
elder
people around him to finish it. They have power because of Joe Biden. So
That's
think
right.
about all the people in the cabinet. You're telling me that they would risk losing the power that they have right now, the position they have right now, because if he does get replaced, they get replaced too. So it's such a
potentially,
larger
right.
juggernaut
maybe.
than maybe, but more than a 0% chance. Do you think people would take a chance with something like that?
Well,
Especially if
if
you're on the
Kamala
green
said,
trail.
hey, I'll let you keep your job, just, we got to do the right thing. But again,
Kam-
here's the
Kamala,
thing. When it
who's
gets
famous for firing her employees and bad.
I know. But here's you get sometimes in politics you get like these West Wing fever dreams, and it's just not going to happen. There's not going to be like some switch at the convention. All of a sudden you're going to have a new candidate here's the question: if Democrats, really honestly, they have to look at themselves and say, you know what, we have a process here. We're running for president. This is the toughest job in the world. It's basically a 2-year campaign. We're not talking about like being the leader of some tiny little island country or whatever. This is the United States of America. We're the world superpower, okay? And you have to go through the rigors of a presidential campaign. It's basically 2 years, and you have to go from the snowy New Hampshire through Iowa, everywhere in between, and you got to make your case to voters. And if you're just going to suddenly say, oh, we're going to swap this guy out for somebody else, no, that's just not the way it works in this country. The question that Democrats have to ask themselves is Joe Biden good enough to run for president? If he's not, then he needs to resign, and they need to invoke
Right.
the 25th Amendment.
Yeah, that's
And
the
if you're not
only.
going to invoke the 25th Amendment, then he's good enough to serve.
Yeah, that's the only honorable out for them. I mean, you can't imagine like a coup happening at the convention, but I agree with Josh. I think it's very, very unlikely at this point. That being said, I don't see it as being beyond the Democrats to do something completely dishonorable and to try and wrangle this to get him off of there, because not only will all the apparatchiks of the Biden regime lose their jobs if there's another candidate or another president, another Democratic candidate, but also, I mean, if it's Biden v. Trump, and Trump is very clearly in a position of strength and power, they're also going to lose. So desperate men sometimes do desperate things, and I wouldn't put it beyond them. That being said, I agree with Josh. Hopefully there is enough honor in the Democratic Party left to at least, if they're going to try and take the way out, to do it by the 25th Amendment. Which actually, we have a question in the chat. So what is the 25th Amendment? Josh, can you give us just the 5-second summary? 15 seconds.
Yeah, this was added to the Constitution after FDR died in office, and there was concerns that Eisenhower himself in the 50s, he had a heart attack, and so the question was, what would happen if you ever had somebody who is physically incapacitated? Maybe he's not dead, but he can't govern. So this became an open question. So, the Constitution was amended, Congress passed it, went through all the states, that basically said that if the president is incapacitated, a majority of the Senate can vote to temporarily remove the president and have the vice president become the acting president, and it can become permanent if it need be. But and again, Congress has an ability to weigh on this stuff. But yeah, the 25th Amendment gives a majority of the cabinet the opportunity to invoke this amendment and have that president be replaced temporarily by the vice president, or even permanently if they need to.
Yeah, but that doesn't touch on the nominee or the candidate for president, right? So the 25th Amendment might take Biden out, but he'd still be the nominee, right? Like they can't be like,
yes,
oh,
but
here.
If a majority of the cabinet decided today, let's say, to remove Biden from office, and then Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States, okay, then the Democrat delegates, in Chicago when they have the convention are going to nominate her, and then they've got to go through the rigmarole of getting all the state laws. As Tom brought up, it's kind of complicated because, but again, if a major party, if you do this before the convention, it's going to be a lot easier to get it taken care of. If it happens after the convention, it becomes nearly impossible. So I still think they have time, but I just don't think it's going to happen. It's Biden's going to be on the ticket unless he dies. That's my call.
Can I bring up, maybe on a lighter note, my favorite part of the debate?
Yeah, please.
What's more American than just two dudes arguing about their golf handicap? I mean, if you guys need any confirmation that we're living in a white boy summer right now, this is it. The two presidential candidates arguing about their golf handicap. And I love that Trump is such a power
this
move.
Is awesome.
Trump, when asked about his age, is like, I won 2 club championships. You got to be pretty mentally sharp to do that. And then I have a 6 handicap. What are we talking about? And then Biden's like, hey, can we show? I saw, this is the funniest video I saw on it. Run that clip. I love this video so much.
2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
Oh my gosh.
The 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8. But I have, how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Let's
not
how
act
many
like
rounds?
children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn.
Let's not.
Oh man,
That's great.
What's better than
Tic-Tac
just two
guys are
boys?
funny.
Aaron?
Yeah.
I've seen your swing. I know your swing. I love it. I love the line. It's the biggest lie of all. The biggest lie all
The
night.
biggest lie of all is you lying about your handicap, and I'm like, honestly,
That's
pretty relatable. If one hasn't
Oh,
lied about their
man.
handicap at one point in their golf career, you're not a real golfer. So I feel like Biden would be the type of guy to, like, if their ball is a little bit in the woods or a little bit out of bounds, just give it a nice kick and then just bring it out and, like, don't tell anyone. Although I could see Trump doing the same thing.
I
so
can see Trump doing that too. Let's be
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, fair and
be very
balanced.
fair. Yeah, I could see.
Hey, as
boys.
McCluskey said
Oh
last
my
night
God.
in our little chat, like golfing and fishing are the only two things you can really, actually lie about. Everything else, come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Facts are
We'll
real.
give them a. Yeah, I did see also, like,
Give 'em a
maybe we could
pass.
do like the version of the match where it was like Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers or something like that, but with Biden and Trump, and just sprinkle in some electoral votes.
Yeah,
for
it
the
was
winner.
it was Tiger Woods v. Phil Mickelson.
Oh,
for the
yeah, yeah,
golf,
there's
for the
that
golf
one, too.
element. Get
Come
them
on
side
now.
by side. Yeah, let's
It'd be
just do
pretty
that.
entertaining. I have to say, it'd be pretty entertaining. But yeah, I think the press turn.
Yeah,
Is there anything more insulting? Like, do they understand how insulting it is to lie ceaselessly while completely understanding his mental state? All of the mainstream press lying about it as well.
Would you
All
see
to
that
just
video of
admit
Joe
in
Scarborough?
one night. Yeah, all to admit in one
Yeah.
night that he's not okay. And, like, that might be true now, but doesn't that you just admitted you've lied for the last 3 months?
yeah.
Not
I
only
think we
lied,
should.
but persecuted people who were pointing out
They
the obvious
just
truth.
don't care.
Yep, they don't.
It's almost
care.
like they're lying. I mean, come on. Joe Scarborough, like 4 months ago, was like, he's more lucid and crisp than ever. He's like a genius,
Oh my
And then they
God.
roll the tape this morning, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, dude, he's got to leave. He's got to go. It's terrible."
For
Like,
democracy,
really?
is what Joe
You're pulling
said.
the ripcord? I mean, okay.
Yeah, can we run that tape? Actually, I think that would be great.
The Scarborough one?
Yeah,
I
the
think we got it,
Scarborough
right?
side by side, right there.
When I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. This is a battle for the future of American democracy. And now is a good time. In June, thank God, in June, and not October, in June, this is the last chance for Democrats to decide whether this man we've known and loved for a very long time is up to the task.
Oh my gosh, just the mendacity. Like it's just
These
they just
people
don't
will
care.
lie through their teeth.
How do
Don't
they get
ever
it-
trust the corporate media.
Really, like, how do you get up in the morning, throw on a tie, and just bald-faced lie to people because you're handed a script to say, and maintain any shred of dignity? Like, don't these... It's just wild to me. Like, this happens everywhere. Every mainstream news outlet. I mean, you look at the New York Times opinion piece people, all of them all of a sudden say Trump win. I mean, I've never seen such a devastating performance. The moment where he said that he beat Medicaid after completely pausing, I mean, the audible gasps I saw on all around, everyone reacting to this, really unbelievable. I don't know. But one thing that I did want to touch on, because I think we have some RFK Jr. people in the chat, he did a parallel debate. It was, I have to say, kudos for
Who?
creativity.
Who?
I've never seen anything like that. RFK
RFK.
Jr., Josh. I have a
John Stossel. John
12
Stossel
pack.
moderated. Yeah.
I have a 12-pack of Yingling riding on. Someone said that the Democrats are going to replace Biden with RFK Jr. And I said, I'll take that bet, and I look forward to cracking open some Yingling soon. So
Such good beer.
is there any merit to that? Did you pay attention at all to the RFK Jr. debate? Did anyone in the chat pay attention to it? Was it
Nah.
relevant? Is it going to matter?
It doesn't
Look,
matter.
I've said on RFK, he came out of the gate strong. That Super Bowl ad was really good. And I said, unfortunately, he needs to sustain that with that's a good hit per month. You got to do one of those kind of things, that wow factor every month, for 10 months in a row to be able to get to a spot where you might get like to crack open that door. But
Yeah.
since then he's been kind of a nothing burger.
Yeah. And
He's a non-factor.
I'm with you, Tom, on that bet, because I think the Democrats hate him even more than they would rather do Kamala Harris as the nominee.
I don't know
if they
about
have
even
to have a
more,
replace.
but I see what you're saying. They
I
hate
think they would rather have Kamala than someone from within the regime rather than RFK Jr., who's the outlier and who's insulted them so much. Like he's a non-player. He's fun to watch sometimes, also maddening, but he's not going to. This will not be a Trump Kennedy race.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Not in a million years.
Non-factor.
Yeah, Ariel.
It's not like
I
Kennedy's
saw it
at
was-
25% or something like that. He's not.
Mhm. Yeah.
This is kind of my sentiments too. It's like, nah, I saw it on after your live was over. I tried watching for about 2 minutes and I quickly got off the internet. Like, yeah, probably about sums it up. I think it was an interesting concept. It kind of felt like someone who was a little salty that they weren't invited. We're like, no, we're
I
going to
feel
throw
like
our
I
own
got
party.
better views and ratings than RFK then.
Hey, Josh, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Stay humble, King. Stay humble. I think you might need a drink on all LOOPcasts now. You were on last night. The boys were bopping on
That's great.
the live stream. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So something I wanted to ask Josh though, because I was genuinely curious. This morning I was scrolling, looking at the reactions, and from all the major pro-life personalities out there, Lila Rose, we got a reaction, Susan B. Anthony list. It was that, oh, good, we had two pro-choice candidates debating each other. Oh, look, none of them are good. Neither of them are good on abortion. Oh, look, another one was, oh, they're debating which children are worthy of life. And it was definitely a downer take. I just didn't know, Josh, because I was looking at it like, we've got Trump here saying the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans. He's saying, send it back to the states. What's
out
your
on
take?
abortions in 7th, 8th,
Calling
and 9th
him-
months. That was also good.
Also
And there's
good.
32,000 babies who are alive because Trump nominees to the court overturned Roe v. Wade and kicked it down to the states. Now, are we getting everything? Like the court yesterday just said, well, we're going to keep this Idaho law in effect for a while, but still, for the most part, states like Idaho, Texas are able to pass laws protecting thousands and thousands of children. So I like that. I think that's good. I do think we need to keep putting pressure on Trump, and especially with regards to the abortion pill. We got to make sure that the abortion pill isn't being flooded into states like, Idaho and Texas where they protect unborn children. So that is a major fight, and we need to make sure that Trump is going to be with us on that. Now, again, that we still have a fight, and we're not going to get as much out of him as we want, but again, to say that there's two pro-choice candidates is ridiculous. He got Roe v. Wade overturned, and he celebrated it. Is he bad on IVF? Yes. Is he bad on exceptions? Just about every Republican presidential candidate since forever has been bad on that.
Yep.
So, do we still have to make our case? Do we still got to work for it? You bet. But I think, as I said during the debate coverage last night, his answer was pretty effective, and it is clear that when it comes to Biden, he had an opportunity to punch him in the jaw and get a win, rhetorically at least. Biden had a chance to hammer Trump on abortion, and it fell flat. So
There's multiple times where
He
I was
missed
like, especially I felt that way during the January 6th question, and especially when they kept coming back to Trump on it, because he did do the flip where he's like, on January 6th, the economy was better, whatever.
That was a great
And I was
answer.
just waiting for,
good, sure.
this is Biden's chance. They came back. He can really hit him here. And he just mumbled. I've never seen like a missed alley-oop that bad. And if you're just not able to take those alley-oops, something's really wrong. Like it's over. How could he possibly improve from now till the next debate, let alone election day? I just don't see it.
And then he mumbled through Charlottesville, which is totally debunked.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Trump was good to push back at that. So, again, do I wish that Trump were more solid on the abortion question? Do I wish he were more pro-life? Absolutely. I wish he were. And we need to make sure we hold him to the fire, especially with regards to the abortion pill. But there's no contest. No contest.
Right. There is
between
no
these two.
comparison.
Joe Biden has enlisted every agency of the federal government to promote abortion at every turn, even including our Defense Department. That's supposed to protect us, in the fight of wars. And why is it involved in abortion policy? Because this federal government under the Biden administration is using every part of every agency to promote abortion at every turn, and we got to turn this around.
Yeah. So I want to make sure though, because at this point we have a few other fun stories I'm not tired of winning yet. But before we do that, if you're new, especially on the live, thank you for joining us live. It's a lot of fun. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. If you're here for the first time, hit us with a subscribe, a like. That would help go a long way. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a review there. If you want to email me, loopcast@catholicvote.org is where you can do that. Send us some questions. Send us some nice thoughts. You can hang on to your bad thoughts if you want, but no, I do take criticism as well. So yeah, just wanted to generally thank everyone, especially people who came out for that live stream last night. Just really overwhelmed with the support, and we got so much good feedback. Want to keep delivering things like this for you guys. So
And and we also gave away 10 copies of our new book during our little live cast there. So hey, if you didn't win it, you can go online to Catholic Vote and you can get your copy of For God, Country, and Sanity: How Catholics Can Save America. Make it happen, people.
And if you were disappointed with the debate in terms of substance and you would like to actually look at the issues that were brought up during the debate and maybe devolved into a discussion of golf handicaps, this is the book for you. You can actually have in-depth, thoughtful answers on immigration, abortion, pro-life cause, women's vote, all great stuff. So if you're feeling a little intellectually starved after the debate, go pick up the book.
Or
that's my plug.
If you enjoy jokes about golf handicaps, you can just subscribe here to the Loopcast, because I love talking about that stuff. Like, that's
why not both?
You can do both.
Why not both? Yeah.
Why not?
We have
both?
a fun time here.
Yeah. So yeah, Josh might be replacing me as the host of this program after that performance last night. That was vintage Josh right there, man. It was just awesome. So I want to talk about a few other things before as we move on from the debate here. So we have the Chevron doctrine is gone. Breaking news. We saw this.
Dude, I love it. What a good day this is, man.
I'm not tired of winning.
Let's keep going.
I'd like to get into, because maybe people have heard of the Chevron doctrine, don't know exactly what's going on. So for those unaware of how big of a deal this is, give us a quick summary here. What is the Chevron doctrine? Why is it important that it's gone?
Yeah, so basically what happened is, you wanted to go for it, Erica?
No, you go for it. Please. I'm going to just have a little drink of water here. I'm going to enjoy listening to you talk about Chevron. Go for it.
I'm just excited about this because this is a case in Chevron back in 1984 where the EPA actually did something I kind of liked, but they didn't really have the authority to do it. They basically gave factories permission to kind of get around some of these excessive regulations on Clean Air Act or whatever. And basically, that was Reagan trying to basically give these companies a chance. Like this, the law was vague, so we're just going to kind of write it in our favor. So they basically took the agency and wrote a rule that was kind of for free market types at the time. But the problem with this is it basically said that case in 1984, the Chevron case, if the law is not crystal clear and it's kind of vague, we're just going to let these agencies of the federal government kind of fill in the blanks and write these regulations and rules and kind of figure out what they want to do with the law. And that is bad news. Even if at the one time in 1984 it was kind of sort of good, the rule itself that the Supreme Court allowed this 40 years ago basically allowed these federal agencies to kind of make it up as they go along.
Oh, they ran wild with it. Right.
Yeah.
They went absolutely bananas.
Yep.
And it's been horrible for limited government and the rule of law. And so today, the Supreme Court overturned the Chevron rule. And this is a big win for the Constitution and the rule of law. It says, look, if there's dispute on this, it should be for the courts to decide. Today, the Supreme Court ruled, not for agencies of the federal government to just kind of make it up as they go along. And why is this so important? Because when we were debating like Obamacare, right, and whether or not the federal government should try to take over 1/7 of the economy, pro-lifers were very worried because what they're going to do is they're going to try to smuggle in a whole bunch of abortion stuff in this. And the Democrats at the time were like, oh, no, we'll never do that. Come on, we'll never do that. We knew they were lying. And we said, well, hey, we know what's going to happen. You pass this bill, and then all the government agencies are going to make pro-abortion regulations out of this. And they said, no, that'll never happen.
We
Yes,
wouldn't.
they are. Hey, I said, what do you got to lose? Just put in a clear language that says this can't be used for abortion. And Democrats refuse. Obama refused. Everyone, no, they're not going to do it. And so what happened? They passed Obamacare. Ding, 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 ding. A few months later, we get the HHS mandate forcing just about everyone in the whole country to pay for abortion pills, sterilizations, and contraception. So exactly what we warned about, because we knew, because of the Chevron doctrine, if you don't explicitly prohibit this or say it crystal clear, these agencies are going to run wild for it. Rinse and repeat. This happens all the time. It happened again when, Erica, you were spot on about the Pregnancy Worker Fairness Act. She sounded the alarm, and we trumpeted that here at Catholic Vote. We said, look, this legislation, there's a lot of good things in here, but what these agencies are going to do, they're going to run with it.
Yeah,
and they're
and
going
shout
to
out
force
to
employers.
Go ahead.
Hit him with a shout out, Erica.
Yeah, shout out to Tom McCluskey on that too. That was a big. He was sending the warning to the USCCB, to the bishops, being like, do not support this bill because Chevron doctrine. This is not the bill that's going to end. This is not they're going to regulate this so hard. And we've seen it with other organizations too, with the EEOC. We've seen it with the FDA. So now that Chevron's gone, the reaction on the left is, oh my gosh, they're going to start,
Absolute panic.
Absolute panic, because this will touch on things like the abortion pill. It will touch on things like all of the Medicaid and abortion contraceptive mandates, et cetera. So we're gonna look at the decision over the weekend. We're going to read the opinions, the dissent, and we'll have more on this on Monday as we know what the implications will be. But everyone should know this is enormous about returning to constitutional order. It's not perfect. It's not going to fix everything, but it is a step in the right direction that they just repealed the Chevron. So shout out there. Yes.
I have two
Absolutely
quick points.
fantastic.
One, I think Tom
day.
may be regretting wearing that tinfoil hat that one time, because now he's officially known as Tinfoil Tom in the chat.
Yeah.
But shout out to Tom. Number two, I think on a top level, well, 2 points I enjoyed in the debate too. Trump's like, I fire people. And I think I brought this up in the Loopcast. It's like, I fire people. My catchphrase is firing people. I fire people that are not doing a good job. Biden has not fired anyone. And if you look at the administrative state, how much it's grown under the Biden administration, and then just lack of transparency and accountability across the board. It's funny. He brought up the Afghanistan exit, and unbelievable to me, no one got fired in that. That's, of course, outrageous.
Unreal.
But if you look at people like Anthony Fauci, or people that messed up all of the COVID response with no accountability, no firing at all. So I think, to me, on a top level with the Chevron doctrine, first off, the administrative state is way too big with people I never elected who have way too much power over me that they should never have had, according to the Constitution. And so, if anything, this is just a great peel back of, no, unelected bureaucrats should not be making decisions for the American people with complete impunity. And that's pretty much what we have now. So this is just a humongous step in the right direction, even if it doesn't solve everything. I think paired with potentially a next Trump term of I really hope he just comes in and slashes everything, destroys the Department of Education, destroys a lot of the powers that the EPA and all these other groups have over us. This is a good step in the right direction.
Hey, he needs to get his chainsaw like the guy from Argentina.
No, seriously.
Javier's chainsaw.
No, and I think
I've
said this personally to a lot of people. I think Trump's at the point now where he understands the score much better than he did in 2016. He thought his biggest opponents were going to be the Democrats. He did not realize his biggest opponents were going to be everyone in Washington, D.C., people within his own party, people within his own cabinet, like the
media,
administrative
the
state,
intelligence agencies,
oh my gosh,
the bureaucracies.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't prepared for that fight. He's absolutely prepared now. And being on a second term, he has nothing to lose. And he brought this up in the debate too. He's like, I could be hanging out, chilling with all my businesses,
Melania.
money. I could be hanging out on the beach.
Down in Mar-a-Lago, yeah.
The only reason I'm here is because I love America and I want us to be respected again. I want us to be great again. And I think that's true. So he has the power and the opportunity now to make historic cuts. He also brought up the historic deportation. Like, he can do these things because he doesn't really have to worry about running for a second term. And we're at the point in America where I think we need something like that. So man, what a great night. 2 wins. So I want to talk about another win briefly before we get into the Twilight Zone. So I personally have never seen such a quick and strong reverse of course from a major company. So I'm talking about Tractor Supply. So if we can get that Tractor Supply tweet up there, Tractor Supply was getting a lot of flack for basically going all gung-ho on all the pride stuff. We got Josh with a little prop going on there.
There we go.
Tractor Supply hat for the audio listeners.
That doesn't fit me well, but
So we might
it's
need
one
to
of my kids'
zoom in here, Ben, but they said a couple things, and I want to get into the reasons behind. But going forward, we will ensure our activities and giving tie directly to our business. For example, this means we will no longer submit data to the Human Rights Campaign.
Yes.
amen.
Yes.
Refocus our team member engagement groups on mentoring, networking, and supporting the business. Further focus on rural America priorities, including ag education, animal welfare, veteran causes, and being a good neighbor. Stop sponsoring non-business activities like pride festivals and voting
Yes.
campaigns. Eliminate
Thank you.
DEI roles and retire our current DEI goals while still ensuring a respectful environment. Withdraw our carbon emission goals and focus on
Yes.
our land and water conservation efforts. I mean, seriously,
Oh
I've
my
never
gosh.
seen such a strong
Such a
slash of all the
reversal.
things that people have problems with, all the things that normal Americans have problems with.
Yeah.
And for this to be a controversial thing is crazy to me. All Tractor Supply is saying here is we want to make the best products for our customers. That's really all
love
he's
it.
saying. And there's controversy.
Seems
over
like
this.
that should have been the focus all along, but I will take the win. This is huge. And as I was telling Tom before the show, so yesterday Todd came to breakfast. He's wearing his Tractor Supply shirt, and I was like, "Take change. I don't want to see Tractor Supply," because I'd just been over to the Connecticut one with the dog, and like the pride flags were everywhere. And I was like, "Take it off. Just go change shirts." And then by 9 o'clock last night, I was like, Tractor Supply shirt. Yes, wear it with pride. I'm going to go buy 6 more now. So anyway, and again, like this is a huge turnaround. And it came in the month of June, the end of Pride Month. Literally the end. For
White boy
Tractor
summer
Supply
in full
Pride.
effect.
Prodigal son, Tractor Supply, come back home. I
Come
love
back
it.
to me. I will embrace you wholeheartedly.
I know where I'm shopping this weekend.
I'm
Let's
gonna
go.
buy all my rabbit food at Tractor Supply from now on.
And I have to say, it's important. This wouldn't have happened even 5 years ago,
No.
10 years ago. I think now we have the clear message shot across the bow to Target, to Bud Light, that if you do not serve your customers and you do not serve their interests, they can damage you big time. Socially, your bottom line. I mean, I saw their market value big time hit the last 2 weeks after a lot of the expose stuff's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is clear. If you don't want this to happen to you, stick to your business, listen to your customers, and provide a good product. And stay out of all the social activism. It's crazy to me. And I know why. It's because the Human Rights Campaign, as we've covered, they provide these corporate equity
Scores, right.
corporate equality index scores, basically on all the different social activism they're doing on behalf of LGBTQ plus two-spirit causes. So that's why you see the LGBTQ liaisons. That's why you see the Pride Parade involvement. It's because with that comes investment from places like BlackRock and Vanguard. And so they've been wielding this big stick over all companies if they want to get these kind of investments. And this feels to me one of the first big rebukes of the Human Rights Campaign, an absolute juggernaut. I mean, their influence is unbelievable right now in the corporate sphere and on the city level, at the municipal level. They also have a lot of play. That's why you see a lot of the Pride crosswalks popping up these days. So, man, I mean, the last 3 stories we just covered, there's a lot to be excited about. Some really big wins recently. I'm not tired of winning.
Yeah, it feels kind of nice.
Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it rolling. All right, so we got Twilight Zone now. We got Josh, Tractor Supply. Josh, you are up first.
Nah, I'm not going first.
Oh, all right.
Josh is not
I'll go
going first.
I'll go.
Erica, you are
All
going
right.
first.
Yeah,
Very
I actually
modest
have.
of you, Josh.
That could be one explanation. There could be another explanation, but I'm going to go first. I do just want to do a really quick update on the Rupnik story. It just continues to look so bad for the Vatican Communications Department. So this was, we covered that at the Catholic Media Conference in Atlanta. The Ruffini, who's the head of the communications at the Vatican, he's the prefect for something. He comes out and he's like, oh yeah, Rupnik art is going to continue to be up there. We don't know what happened. This is, Caravaggio, blah, blah, blah. We covered it on a previous show. Go check it out. A couple of days later so this was a couple days later, we have Cardinal Sean O'Malley, who you know from Boston. He's the president of the Pontifical Commission for the Protection of Minors. He comes out with a statement saying, do not use this art in Roman communications throughout the Vatican. Don't use it in forward-facing materials. We are not going to use Rupnik's art while he's under investigation, while there are victims who see this art, et cetera, et cetera. So he comes out with this. Today, we get on the Vatican News website for the Feast of St. Irenaeus, we have Rupnik's art. It's just either slap in the face or complete lack of communication among the Vatican departments. I'm probably going with a little bit of both, but it just continues to devolve. And this has been just so frustrating. So again, Rupnik update. But my actual Twilight Zone is we have a hero. We have a hero I would like to highlight. We have Representative Rosendale from Montana, Catholic, friend of Catholic Vote. He comes out outside of his congressional office. We get these based posters slamming in vitro fertilization, IVF, saying there is no difference between the destruction of fertilized embryos and abortion. If you believe life begins at conception, you cannot support IVF. He hangs these huge placards outside his office. And I love the quote that we put up on our status when we were highlighting this. To paraphrase William F. Buckley, a hero is someone who stands athwart history yelling, "Stop!" at a time when no one is inclined to do so or has much patience with those who urge it. So, Congressman Rosendale, thank you for standing firm against IVF. And just to give it some perspective, this is in contrast with every single senator, every single Republican senator, including some Catholics of whom I am a big fan, signing on and saying, we support IVF. It's a great way to build your family. But then we get heroes like this guy. So shout out to Rosendale. Thank you for standing firm, for being that voice.
We're calling it now, Catholic Vote Hero of the Month.
That's right. Going with it. Thank you very much.
So
there you go. Josh, are you ready?
No.
I am ready. You
go last. You weren't ready. You go last.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That's the show, baby.
Mm-hmm.
The floor is mine. We got a new listener. What's up, James? New listener here. Love the show. Thanks so much. I need some background on nicknames. Who is Pogo? And what does that mean?
Who is Pogo?
That's fair. That's completely fair. I am Pogo. My last name is Pogasic. And I actually have a book behind me that was sent by a listener. It's a cartoon called I Go Pogo. And it's about a possum.
Your mom sent it in.
No, it was not my mom. It was actually no, my mom is a listener, so that's fair. But no, it was a priest friend who actually came out and visited me. That was pretty cool. It's on the East Coast. I don't know if he wants to be doxxed, but a really cool guy. And he's like, hey, I hear you call Pogo all the time. It makes me think of this cartoon from the 50s, I think. Mm-hmm. And he was actually kind of as a protest ran for president, and he's a cartoon. And so it actually caused a riot at Harvard. So if I could be associated with anything that caused a riot at Harvard, I'm signed up for that. So I am Pogo. Also, we have Mercer. That's Josh's last name. Mm-hmm. Very fair. And then you usually just stick
I'm just Erica. Oh, Queen. I'll take Queen. Yeah.
Queen Erica.
Since I'm female, it fits. We like it.
Yeah.
Her pronouns are Your Majesty.
Yeah,
one of my favorite reviews of the show, I think I had it as the background of the Twitter for one, was like, man, I love this show. One is old, one is young, and one is female. And I was like, that's like, if you could just simplify the description of the show, I think that about nails it. So my Twilight Zone. LeBron is the best dad of all time. I'm not one to necessarily compliment LeBron. I'm not a huge LeBron guy, but he has managed to draft his own son, Bronny, LeBron James Jr., to the Lakers. Now, you may say, Tom, he's not the owner. He's a player. How did he get to draft his own son? Well, he runs that team. There's no question who runs that team. And he also got his podcast co-host, JJ Redick, former basketball player, to be the coach. So when I say, like, please God accelerate my blessings, maybe I could be the next coach of an NBA team, because his previous coaching experience, other than playing the NBA, of course, I think he was a 4th grade volunteer coach last year, and now he's the coach of the Lakers. So talk about a meteoric rise. But the thing on LeBron, which is hilarious to me. Well, actually, I do want to compliment him. His own father was not really in his life, and by all accounts, a phenomenal father, and raised a good family. They really stay out of trouble. So I really want to give
Terrible
him some
politics, but I'll give him that.
bad politics, but I want to give him some credit. Seemed like a great father. Seems like he really loves his family. So I saw some really heartwarming stuff about that. But this might be
So
the
is
most.
this kid any good at basketball? I don't even
So
know.
here's the thing. This might be the most raw play of nepotism I've ever seen because Bronny played at USC. He averaged 5 points a game, I think.
Oh.
And really, by all accounts, shouldn't have even been in the draft. So it gets better from here. He declares from the draft, and teams were basically like, I mean, he's LeBron's son, but he's an undersized guard, didn't really play much in college, wasn't really super impressive. So they're like, okay, maybe we'll like invite him to come work out for our team to see if there's something we're missing. And he has the same agent as his dad, Rich Paul, and they turned down invites for multiple teams to go work out for them and only accepted invites for, I think, the Lakers and the Suns.
Oh my
So it'd be
gosh.
like, he shouldn't even really be there to begin with. And he's like, no, I'm not going to go work out for teams I don't want to play for. And then we get to the draft. Everyone's like, okay, like if they draft him, this would be crazy. Like the whole time they're like, no way he gets drafted. And then the agent threatens that I think it was either LeBron James Jr. or LeBron himself would go play in Australia if Bronny does not get drafted. So he's like holding a gun to the league, basically.
One way to do it.
And then they're like, well, second round pick, LeBron James Jr. for the Lakers. So if I could get,
Could have
then
picked him in the fifth round, right?
I mean, yeah, no one else is going to pick him unless, although some people are like, oh, because I'm a Pistons fan. I grew up in Detroit. And someone's like, they should just draft him basically just to get LeBron. Like, what if we have nothing to lose? We were the worst team in the league. So one of my favorite tweets of all time is, LeBron James Jr. won't wear his dad's number. He doesn't want people to know who he is. And this is a picture of LeBron playing as a kid. And then the response to it was, coming in, number 4, LeBron James Jr. Hey, yo, bro, who is that guy? I have no idea. So we'll see if the grand experience over in LA pans out. They were not very good. They got smashed by the Nuggets last year, despite being the most historic franchise of all time. But I think it is important to point out the NBA is a business, and it's all about bringing in the ticket sales. It's all about generating hype. And I have to say, from a business perspective and a hype perspective, no father-son team has ever played together in the league in the NBA. I think of like in baseball, you had Ken Griffey Jr. and his dad played together.
Yes, and they were both awesome.
It's just so insane to me that LeBron is playing at the level he is, at the age he is, and the fact that he's still that good while his son could even be eligible to potentially play in the NBA. So the fact that he did this power move to make it happen is pure nepotism, no question, but still kind of interesting. So I think it probably will work from a media hype perspective. I'm just really curious to see how this thing pans out. So that's my Twilight Zone. I'm a sports guy. I've never seen anything like this. No one has. It's the first time ever. So, now we're getting sports movie draft.
Yeah, we're getting
over
sports
here,
movie
so.
in the chat. I love
Should I
it.
tease?
I see you
Should
in
I
there.
tease what we
see
did
you in
for
there. Yeah,
the
I
July
think this
5th?
is a good time. We're gonna tease it. Go for
So
it.
the chat's one step ahead of me here. So we decided we did some talk on movies the other day, and people really liked it. And I wouldn't consider myself a film buff, but I've seen some movies. And so we decided we're going to do a fun episode for July 5th, so after Friday. It's going to be pre-recorded, but we're still going to put it out live so you guys can hang out in the chat or whatever. And we each drafted our top 3 movie heroes and top 3 movie villains. It was contentious.
Fun.
It was very fun.
Was.
And you
Got
guys can decide who had the best list. We had a producer decide. Let's just say under contest.
She's a great producer, but
no, don't give it away.
We're gonna let the people judge.
No projection on how
people judge.
We're gonna let the people judge. But yeah, shout out Rosie. We put her in a tough spot.
You guys all freak out.
Poor Rosie.
All right, Josh, your Twilight Zone. You are up.
Well, look, we're near the end of the hour here, so I'm gonna make this brief. I had to get prepped for the show last night and stuff like that, so I didn't have a particular Twilight Zone, but I just want to make note of another Supreme Court ruling that came down today. The court basically just destroyed hundreds of the Department of Justice's January 6th cases they massively narrowed the so-called obstruction of an official proceeding charge. And so these are all being remanded back down to the DC Circuit. And, the Justice Department, which is like not going after any, hardly any cases against Catholic churches being destroyed or whatever. But January 6th, they are going bananas and they're trying to get everyone on January 6th stuff. Even people who are just there, like why people who were invited in by a police officer and we can go inside because it's the people's house. And now they're getting these massive obstruction charges trying to, like they were trying to obstruct the hearing. If you were in the building, you weren't necessarily trying to disrupt the counting of the electoral votes. I mean, so this was a good day for the rule of law, not just in the Chevron case, but this Jan 6 case, the Supreme Court, being sensible. It's good to see.
Josh, I think, you had I was going to say flu game performance because I'm thinking about how the Biden team was like, oh, he had a flu halfway through. Did we even talk about that? They didn't say anything before the thing about him having a cold. Halfway through, he's doing so bad. They're like, well, he has a cold.
Well, he did sound
20
raspy. He
minutes
was
in.
coughing a lot. I mean, it's not for nothing. He may have had a
sounds
cold,
like
but
that. He always
Wow.
sounds like that. Hey, can I ask for some special prayers today? It is my
Yes.
21st wedding anniversary today.
Hey.
And I know we have several birthdays going around as well. So I just wanted to ask for prayers for me and my husband on our anniversary for all you in the chat.
Happy anniversary. Wow.
I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty proud of 21. That's a good year.
Wow. That's crazy. It's a long time. Any marriage advice to the
Oh gosh,
the
no, don't
listeners
get me
there?
started. We're at 12:02, man. I'm still taking marriage advice. If anyone has some of that too, prayers and advice, much appreciated.
Sounds like another Ask
But,
Josh question here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we'll do that next week. I know, Pogo, you're going to go on another vacation. What the heck?
Oh yeah.
So,
See,
we're
now-
gonna have to
oh my
fill.
gosh.
We're gonna have to fill in. So maybe we'll do a.
I'm
marriage
going to do the
advice.
host, and I'm going to kill it so much because of what happened last night. We're not even going to have Pogo back. It's
Fire
come on,
left.
man.
Yeah.
Bye,
Erica,
Pogo.
Why'd you put me on blast like that? Now
I
I'm gonna
ju-
start getting the reputation for like, oh, he just takes
Yeah.
vacations. Is what he
Dude,
does.
you've worked so hard for almost 2 years now. You can take a couple of vacations. I know
Oh,
Josh is
give
gonna
me
say,
up.
yeah. See, there he goes. Here he goes. Yeah, that was my mom voice. That was my mom voice on
Yeah,
the podcast.
Erica was
Tears.
trying to make
Nothing
up
but
for
tears.
that one, but
Yeah.
get out the tiny violin. Yeah, I'll be on a lake somewhere. So I hope you guys have a great 4th of July week. So Monday we're going to be having Logan Church come on, political director here at Catholic Vote, to
That'll be
replace
fun.
me, and then Wednesday Tinfoil Tom is going to come on, hang out with the gang. Friday we have that draft episode. But thank you so much, and especially to new people who joined in the chat today. It was lively. Great to have you guys here. If you want to, we are live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. You can send a notification, subscribe, of course. You'll see us there. Come hang out. We love hanging out with you guys. The live chat adds a great element to the show. We appreciate you all here. But if you're listening on audio, we still appreciate you. And thank you. If you want to leave us a review, that would be very helpful to the program. You can email me, loopcast@catholicvote.org. And above all, the best way to support the show, become a champion. So we have something here called the Champions Club. You can support us monthly. You get all these perks. It's awesome. It's the absolute best way to support us here at the Loopcast and everything we do with the Loop in general. So please, first off, thank you to all our champions here in the chat. But if you would like to become one, you can do that at catholicvote.org/champions. We'll have a link in the description of this episode. And as always, we talked about the book, but go grab the book. Best thing you can do for us, pray for us. St. Thomas More, Our Lady Guadalupe, and St. Fidelis, pray for us. And we will see you guys on the next one. Have a great weekend. Peace.